Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Freaky trade proposal sends NFL All-Pro WR to Broncos. There's an epidemic of disgruntled wide receivers going around the NFL, and the Denver Broncos haven't been immune. Their star wideout, Courtland Sutton, sat out OTAs over a contract dispute before returning for minicamp. Another team with even bigger wide receiver issues is the Dallas Cowboys, who have yet to grant two-time NFL All-Pro CeeDee Lamb a contract extension which could rival the record-setting 4-year, $140 million contract extension for Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson. In a mind-melting trade proposal, predominantly Orange's Lou Scatalia suggests trading Lamb to the Broncos for Sutton, a 2025 first-round pick and 2026 second-round pick. Let's get super freaky right off the bat, Scatalia wrote. You could argue that the one thing missing from the Denver Broncos offense currently is a true WR1. Well, you can't get much better than CeeDee Lamb, who seems very unhappy that he does not have a contract extension from the Dallas Cowboys, who have totally botched this offseason. It is a high price, but it's what the top of the WR market is at now. The Denver Broncos would likely have to part with valuable draft capital to make this deal go down. Perhaps multiple draft picks and a player, like I've proposed above. Would Courtland Sutton, a first and a second-round pick, be enough? Lamb unstoppable through first 3 seasons. The idea of adding Lamb to their roster falls squarely in the wildest dreams category for any NFL fan. Since the Cowboys selected Lamb out of Oklahoma as the number 17 overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, he's been arguably the NFL's best wide receiver. Lamb's receiving yardage has gone up each of his 4 seasons and heads into 2024 coming off 3 consecutive seasons over 1,000 receiving yards. He had 935 receiving yards as a rookie in 2020. Lamb's 2023 season was one for the ages as he led the NFL with 135 receptions to go with 1,749 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns. He's also been named a Pro Bowler each of the last 3 seasons. Lamb signed a 4-year, $14.01 million rookie contract in 2020, and after the Cowboys picked up his 5th-year option in 2023, he's scheduled to make approximately $17.9 million in 2024. Sutton last Denver WR to pass 1,000 receiving yards. Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox projected how Jefferson's deal could impact the NFL wide receiver market, and projects the Broncos will end up granting Sutton's wish with a 2-year, $35 million contract extension, with $25 million guaranteed. That is, if he's not traded. Sutton is still the last Denver player to pass 1,000 receiving yards in a single season, which he did in 2019 on the way to earning his lone Pro Bowl spot. Broncos receiver Courtland Sutton, whose lone 1,000-yard campaign came back in 2019, is a tier or 2 below every other player on this list, Knox wrote. However, he has to be mentioned because he is held out of off-season workouts in an effort to gain a new contract. The good news for Denver, which is working to develop rookie quarterback Bo Nix, is that its top receiver isn't actually seeking number 1 receiver money. 4 reasons why the Cowboys should keep Demarcus Lawrence around a little longer. The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of business to do, as 3 of their biggest stars are coming to the end of their contracts. Extending Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and eventually Micah Parsons are all important moves the front office needs to get done so the team can stay competitive for years to come. While it's hard to find more valuable players than the big 3, another guy on the team is almost as valuable and happens to have an expiring contract coming as well. That guy is Demarcus Lawrence. Lawrence has played 10 seasons in the league, and even still, people aren't sure what to make of him. For some fans, he's one of the most underrated players in the game, as he's always getting his hands dirty and coming up with big plays. His contributions don't go unnoticed by broadcasters, as they have been singing his praise for years. It's hard to make it through a game without someone talking about how valuable he is. Others have a different perspective. After the 2018 season, Lawrence was coming off 2 straight double-digit sack seasons and was rewarded handsomely with a 5-year, $105 million deal. This made him the 2nd highest-paid edge rusher in the league, behind only Khalil Mack. Suddenly, expectations were raised. Lawrence has since played 5 seasons, and in those 5 collective years, he still has fewer total sacks than he did during that 2-year stretch that helped him get paid. He's a good player, but some quickly remind us he is not an elite sack master. 2 years ago, these two sides came together when Lawrence agreed to a reduced salary to remain with the team. It consisted of a new 3-year, $40 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. The Cowboys have already paid him his guaranteed money, with the only thing left is his $10 million base salary for the upcoming season. Even without the unspectacular sack numbers, Lawrence is coming off 2 consecutive Pro Bowl seasons. He's widely known as one of the best run-stopping defensive ends in the game, and most would agree that he's an absolute bargain. Whether you own stock in Tank Inc. early or late, it's pretty clear that he's a valuable asset. Lawrence will be an unrestricted free agent next year, and what's next for him is unknown, but he hinted around last week that he has no interest in hanging things up and could play another 5 years. The thinking for some might be that Lawrence would play out the remainder of his contract in Dallas, and then the team would replace him with younger players. After all, they selected a run-stopping defensive end in the second round of April's draft, the same round they got Lawrence in 10 years ago. However, there might be a better option, and that option would be keeping him around a little longer. Here are 4 reasons why this makes sense. He's still really good. Lawrence has been north of 30 years of age for 2 years and shows no signs of slowing down. One of the big reasons for this is that he's a fundamentalist. Don't get me wrong, the strength and athleticism are there, but he's so refined that he can maximize his skills to get great results. Lawrence always has a plan. How many times have we seen him dart into the backfield untouched? He has great play awareness, is quick off the snap, and aggressively attacks the ball carrier. He possesses elite hand techniques. Whether it's the cross chop or counter club, he's always attacking the hands of the blocker, and he uses his quickness and power to toss blockers aside. He's resilient, oddly enough. There was a time when this guy was labeled as injury-prone. That's because early in his career, he struggled to stay healthy. Broken feet and back issues have certainly been a thing for him. He missed half the year in 2 of his first 3 seasons in the league. That's not a good start. But would you believe that Lawrence has since played a full season in 6 of the last 7 years? And that includes 40 straight games spanning over the last 2.5 seasons. Injuries happen, but Lawrence has surprisingly been able to stay on the field most of the time over the last several years. His nickname is Tank, for crying out loud. He's the epitome of toughness. He's a high-character guy. It's so crazy to think that Lawrence was once viewed as being a character concern, but he was. It might be a big reason he slid within striking distance of the 2014 NFL Draft. Lawrence's path wasn't filled with sunshine and rainbows. He had to play for Butler Community College, which he mentions in his game intros, because of academic issues. He was suspended multiple times at Boise State for disciplinary reasons and violating team rules. You couldn't read a draft profile back in 2014 without pundits mentioning that scouts would need to investigate his character.